Good evening, you're about to listen to the Odd Pod. We don't know why, however we are grateful you chose to. We do wish to inform you that the views, opinions and overall morality do not necessarily reflect those of the station, sponsors or musical entities. If you should choose to continue, and we sincerely hope that you do, just know, we try to advise you against these actions and we are not responsible for any damage done to your sanity, morals or ideals. Thank you. Here comes that terrible siren.
Portions of the day's programming are reproduced by means of electrical transcriptions or tape recordings.
And now, broadcasting from the heart of Metro Detroit, you're listening to the Odd Pod.
Double the D's for double the fun.
We'll do it live! Fuck it!
That's right. We'll do it live. Fuck it. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are having some weird technical difficulties that we didn't have last week. Like, the program is kind of not wanting to work right. So we're going to see what we can do tonight. It's kind of weird given the topic.
I'm telling you, I'm being followed. I see black helicopters everywhere. There's so many black sedans everywhere.
Look. Again, I've prefaced this and through the page and, you know, throughout all this when talking to others about it. I am about possible versus probable, okay? A lot of the times in conspiracy theories, what I see is like a dot-to-dot picture, okay? But think of it as a dot-to-dot picture that just also so happens to be one of those fucking magic eye posters.
Right, it has no numbers.
Yeah.
You can make anything out of it you want.
Yeah.
It's like religion.
What it comes down to for me is, yeah, it really looks like a duck. I can't deny that it looks like a duck, but for some reason it's a fucking sailboat, actually, is what you're supposed to be trying to draw.
And it kind of resembles a rabbit, too. Yeah.
So,
rabbit, duck,
I mean...
What the hell is it?
You can see what you want to see. I will admit that given the lines that have been drawn on this particular conspiracy theory, it is kind of hard to argue with, because it's a good conspiracy theory, because here's the little bit of truth that's...
Right, and that's all a conspiracy theory needs, is just a little truth, and you can stretch that sucker any way you want.
And they have. I'm here to tell you. Bluebeam is interesting.
It is. It really is. It started long ago, and it kind of evolved into several different things, as you found out.
Yeah, well, what Bluebeam basically is a collection of various technologies that people believe have been used in certain ways. Now, I'm saying that up front like this because when we start talking about it, I want you to understand where I'm starting from, because it's going to sound different once we get into this, and I assure you, this is where I stand. The problem is when you start talking about it and you start looking at it, you start seeing the bits of truth that are there, and there are things that you can't argue with if you go look them up.
Yeah, like, I think what we're trying to say is, just because it looks like a duck and walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, we're not saying it's a duck.
Yeah.
By no means, because it could be a rabbit.
Take the information and if you so choose, look at it for yourself. If you don't, hey, take the hour or 3 hours of entertainment that you get out of this and leave it at that. That's all we can tell you to do with this one.
Yep, and watch out for the black helicopters. They're everywhere.
You know, as we get older, our vision diminishes, and we don't see color as well anymore. So they might not be black helicopters. They just might look dark.
I haven't seen a helicopter, but if they did, it would be black.
I've seen the medical ones.
Yeah, those. Well, yeah. I haven't seen one lately, but...
Well...
It sounded good.
You've been staying put.
Yeah. I've been grounded.
Speaking of staying put, though, before we get into tonight's topic, this is one of Ace's final 1 or 2 shows for a little while.
I think the way it's going to play out is I'll be gone for 2 weeks, I'll be back for 1 show, and then I will be gone for about 2 months.
Yeah. So, get your ace fill.
Oh, they've had their fill, trust me.
I'm going to put something with your face just on it so people can get their Ace coffee mugs or whatever.
There you go. We miss Ace.
You're going to come home to one.
Buy a mug. Yeah. No. That'll never happen, but okay. It's a nice thought.
Never say never.
Yeah. But yeah, like you said when we was talking, I call in once in a while and leave a Brothers Martin report. Me and my brother are taking off for 2 months and headed out west. So that should be interesting.
I believe so. I think
no particular destination, really, just west.
I think that's what's going to make it interesting is the no particular destination. I'm really happy for you. I'm excited to hear stories and
yeah, it should be interesting. I'm a little hesitant and trepidatious. I've never been away from home that long.
Yeehaw, the Martins head west.
Yeah, this could be really cool or really bad. If we all don't end up in jail, we'll be all right.
If only some of you wind up in jail, you'll still be okay.
As long as I don't end up in jail.
Yeah.
No, we'll be fine, but it's going to be fun. It was funny because he said, any particular place? And I said, well, there's 3 places I'd like to see. He says, what's that? I said, the Kensington Runestone, Devil's Peak, and Sherman General Sherman. And he said, what the hell is a Kensington Runestone? Where's Devil's Peak? And who the hell is General Sherman? I said, never mind. I'll point them out as we go.
Well, General Sherman is cool though because it's the oldest redwood, right?
It's the largest living redwood in North America, and it's in Southern California, not too far from Sacramento.
That's not the one that they drilled the hole to drive through.
I think that's in Northern California somewhere.
Yeah, something that big and that old, don't fuck with it.
Yeah, right. Well, I know that the whole area there, you got to walk in to see it. So there's me an issue right there. It's a 1/4-mile walk to get to it. So that'll be a day trip for me. But yeah, it should be interesting.
Well, so your brother's got that motorcycle, right?
Yeah. Well, we're taking his truck, and he's got
tell him it's a mobility scooter.
Yeah. Yeah, then I will die for sure. I can't ride a motorcycle.
I would try it here.
Yeah, that won't work. He wouldn't let me ride it anyway. Who we kidding? Yeah, that's something to look forward to down the road.
Yep.
Like I said, I got one more show, I think, coming up when I come back from up north this time. But yeah, I'm going to go up and cross the T's and dot the I's and make some kind of a game plan, I think.
All right, so we're going to jump right in. We're going to break from normalities a little bit and jump right in because this is a thing. Where do we start? All right, well, let's start with where supposedly it originated. Supposedly, on April 1st, Facebook user Gotcha Chumsville published a Russian video which talks about a Blue Beam project. According to the video, Blue Beam is a joint project by NASA and the United Nations that, using the strongest technologies, aims to spread a new religion on Earth and create various simulations to establish total control on people and establish the New World Order. That may have been posted on Facebook, but it actually goes further back, unfortunately. This is what... See... Here's one of the things, too, is this is where a lot of people are like, well, I saw it on Facebook. Well, if they don't tell you anything else, like if they don't really go into it, yeah. Because it...
See, I know it goes back farther than that.
It goes back to a man named Sergei Monast. I'm butchering the name, but in the 70s and 80s, Monast was a journalist, poet, and essayist. He was an active member of the Social Credit Party of Canada. In the early 90s, he started writing on a theme of the New World Order and conspiracies hatched by secret societies, being particularly inspired by the works of William Guy Carr. He founded the International Free Press Agency, where he published most of his work on these themes, achieving some prominence with an interview of esoterist and UFOologist Richard Glenn's TV show, in which he reportedly warned his audience about the dangers of a world government. So, Blue Beam is a collection of these ideas. And the ideas are to, in a nutshell, create a holographic simulation in the sky all over the world simultaneously in order to bring about either the second coming of Jesus and trick everybody into bowing down and being controlled, or aliens.
Yep. Black flag, false alien.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, the crux of this is, how would you project a simulation in the sky worldwide that everybody could see at the same time? This is where the pieces of Project Blue Beam start to be pulled from other conspiracy theories. And the problem is those other conspiracy theories are things like space lasers, solar satellites that can direct beams of light, and we'll get into that, I promise. Reflective surfaces, controlling the weather. So you have HARP involved, chemtrails.
I find this interesting already because, as usual, me and you got the topic, but we haven't much discussed this.
No.
And I researched this over 20 years ago when, I was at home on my computer. I chased it backwards technology-wise. Where did it come from? How did this come about? And I chased it back to the late 60s and early 70s when scientists were first looking into Nikola Tesla's ionizing the atmosphere.
Yep.
And that's when they started running into, if we shoot this type of ray, it creates a bubble and affects the weather.
You're talking about Project Popeye, which became Operation Popeye.
Which eventually, it changed names. And I forget the names. I should have looked.
No. It started as Project and became Operation. That was the name change.
Then it changed again, and it became Blue Beam.
Well, it leads into, because like I said, with Blue Beam, there are several that are brought in. There are several things that independently, yes, there is verifiable proof that they were working on, but there's nothing saying that they were meant to work in tandem.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying is dot,
yeah,
line.
Yeah, I got extra dots.
No, you're right on par. And Project Popeye was an interesting thing. So we've known about cloud seeding for a long time. People have been trying to manipulate the weather for a long time to grow crops.
Yep.
Because during drought seasons, they were trying everything they could think of to get a little bit of rain. So cloud seeding is not out of our grasp. So during the 60s, there was a project Popeye. And let me pull it up here. So, because I read and I retained, but I want full-on facts. So, depending on who you ask, because the book that I was reading, yes.
Odd reads books.
I hate to call it a book. I really do.
He was reading.
It's on my phone.
Yeah, it's still a book.
So, I went looking for something that I could sit down to read, about this, like specifically for this topic. Like later on in the coming month, we have a sit down. Well, I do. I don't know if you'll be here. I have a show planned where there's a book that I've read. It's called Reefer Madness. And it talks all about the prohibition of marijuana. It gives a good chunk rundown.
How that came about.
Yeah. And
interesting, too.
yeah, and I know a lot of people know parts of the story, but
they don't know it all.
Yeah. So I went looking for a book to try to give me the whole of the picture, and what I found was on Kindle. It was the only thing that I could really find to e-read and get here fast enough for this show. It's Bluebeam Project, a Zionist Illuminatist advanced weapon for the 21st century.
Mm-hmm.
So you hear the word Zionist, and immediately a lot of people,
what's that? That sounds scary.
Well, those that do know what it means also are, and the reason for that it is kind of off-putting because it's one supreme, it's one world, it's one. There is no we, there is one.
I.
And that's where the religious tones come in. It could be Jesus. It could be shown to us as that particular deity for that country saying the exact same thing at the exact same language. Yeah, at the exact same time.
Well, they're playing off of, and this is again just my opinion, in the Bible it says when Jesus comes for the second time, and this is the Christian version, is when Jesus comes the second time, all eyes of the people of earth shall see and behold the coming of the Lord. And it says right there several times, all eyes, everybody, everywhere. So how is that possible? The only way to do that is to project it.
Yeah, and how do you project? Well, so what I was talking about, and I'm going to pull it up here, so give me just a second.
It's just like the Tupac doing tours and Michael Jackson doing tours, Rodney James deal. The holographic technology has reached a point where they can do it.
Yeah. Well, and you've seen the videos online too, and we got like 3 hours to cover with this, so there's little bits and pieces that we'll give you throughout the way. But Project Popeye just made me giggle because it was right there in front of everybody's face and nobody acknowledged. Okay, so this is what made me laugh about it too. So Project Popeye was an attempt and a successful project to control the weather in a certain area, to weaponize the weather. Project Popeye was an experiment in increased rainfall through cloud seeding, jointly approved by the U.S. Department of the State and the U.S. Department of Defense. So what they did is in, let's see, where was it? In Laos, in a panhandle, or in the Laos panhandle, east of Bolivin's Plateau and the Sekong River Valley.
They flooded out the Ho Chi Minh Trail.
Yeah, they did it.
Yeah, they did.
They did it with the weather. The project, when it was still just a project, that was an attempt to see if they could do it, and they could do it with an 87% success rate.
It's a pretty good rate.
Yeah. And so what it is said, when I read this, I went, what the fuck? This is like off the rails already.
As soon as you say it, people raise an eyebrow.
Yeah.
I didn't say it. It's fact.
Yeah.
Here it is.
And you're like, nah, that can't be fact. And you're like, let me go read about it. And yeah, it is fact. They flooded the Ho Chi Minh Trail using weather as a weapon, essentially. A tool, if you will. They
seeded the clouds and it rained for 45 days until the Ho Chi Minh Trail was a river.
So now, if you tell someone that the United States can control the weather,
you think they're nuts.
Yeah, they'd look at you like you're fucking crazy.
I know. That's why I don't tell people that.
What happened to make me laugh is it was presented right in front of our face.
They told you they did it.
Well, not that long ago. Like, so do you remember the movie Forrest Gump?
Yeah.
And how he said it rained and it rained and it rained.
It rained sideways and sometimes straight up from above.
Like someone was controlling it.
Yeah.
And when I read that, my brain went to that moment. I was like, they fucking told us.
Yeah. They don't hide it. They just throw it out there and deny it. Here it is, but we deny it.
Well, see, that's where I got curious, is because something like that, would have to have some sanctions and whatnot with it. And that's when I ran into the chapter that they have here. Hold on.
Those rabbit holes run deep.
Senator Claiborne Pell and his declarations.
Boy, that name rings a bell.
So, this is what he had to say. It may seem like a great leap of imagination to such science fiction ideas as unleashing earthquakes, melting the polar ice caps, and changing the course of warm ocean currents or modifying the weather of an adversary's farm belt. But in military technology, today's science fiction is tomorrow's strategic reality. Apart from the sheer horror of the prospect of unbridled environmental warfare, there is, I believe, another compelling reason to ban such action. We know, or should know by now, that no nation can maintain for long a monopoly on new warfare technology. If we develop weather warfare techniques, so can and will other major powers. Experience has taught us that the weapons that make us feel secure today will make us all feel very insecure, indeed, when our adversaries possess the same capabilities. This is part of a Senate hearing committee. Mm-hmm. These are his words. He was proposing a treaty of
stop doing it.
Okay, all right, we figured it out. Now stop. Yeah. Knock it off.
It's right there in public record.
Yeah. It's like MK Ultra. Sometimes the truth is stranger than conspiracy. Who just said?
Well, exactly. You throw it out there, and people look at you like you're nuts.
And I went looking, and I found as a PDF online, Freedom of Information Act.
It's a great tool.
Yeah, and I found the exact minutes
from
this hearing. Yep. Now, when I read this book, I was like, nah.
Can't be. They've stretched the truth, word for word.
Yeah. Yeah, I went, no, this seems too well written. And I went and I read and I went, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So, we can control
the weather. We have been able to do that for a while. Since the mid-'70s, we've been doing it efficiently.
Everyone was like, HARP is to control the weather. And they were like, no.
That's not possible.
You're crazy.
That's crazy. HARP was a response to Russians' HARP. Russia started first.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to do something to stop them, or we wouldn't have any food. This has turned into a food war.
And Russia wants to try to warm the northern region, I believe, of the area, which would actually take over land from a nearby country and use it to grow crops.
I think it's the Ural Mountains that are in Russia, but on the south side of their mountain range, it's usable terrain. Anything on the north side of that mountain range is frozen wasteland year round.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to be able to warm it up and grow something.
Yeah. So we have the technology exists in the world. Everyone thinks that, oh, well, not to the extent that you think it is. And I was like, well, maybe not to the extent you think it is. Yeah. Because there are, at the writing of this book, they listed the countries controlling the weather other than the United States. Malaysia, China, God damn it.
Russia, UK, Australia.
Yep.
Yep.
There you go. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
There are some that believe that an earthquake that happened in China
was a direct result.
Yes, some believe that it was a warning from the U.S. to China. That, boom. A lot of people have said during cataclysmic events like this, preceding whatever happens, is a large, bright flash. Okay. There are reports from that incident in China where the strongest earthquake, I think, ever recorded there. I should have made notes for myself for this, because there are certain parts of this that are very long.
With the HARP project, it works on high frequency, high energy sound waves.
Yep.
And if you point it up into the upper ionosphere, what it does is it stimulates the molecules. It heats the molecules, which creates a bubble in our atmosphere. And when it creates that bubble of heat, the surrounding cold airs fold in around it to make up the density that it's bubbled out, which changes the flow of the natural flow of the currents of the earth.
Well,
if you invert to HARP, because you can go up or down, if you invert it, then you're sending high frequency, high energy waves through the center of the earth, and you can make it come out anywhere you want.
Yep.
So just like a megaphone, if you hum in it real soft at one end, when it comes out the other end, it's really loud. And it's the same principle.
The thing that I was talking about was the Tangshan, China earthquake of 76. It was, I believe, 8.2, 8.3, somewhere in there, like super strong, just decimated the city.
Yep.
And just before the first tremor, they said the sky lit up like daylight.
Flash, yes. I never heard that.
And so this is where Blue Beam starts tying everything in and whatnot, is you have reports of stuff like that preceding a lot of earth-bound disasters. So there are satellites that collect solar power, supposedly, and we'll get into this because we're going to go to our first music break here. We're still going to run the show like normal a little bit, but this will keep you coming back, right? There supposedly are satellites that collect solar power and can transmit
wireless, yeah.
Wirelessly. Now, the idea was originally to do this as a form of energy, but the problem is it costs $3,000 per kilowatt hour.
Yep.
And
see, that's falling back on Nikola Tesla's ideas, and he got that from the Egyptians.
And we'll get there.
Yeah, I know, it all ties together.
Yeah, that's the thing with this one is it really does wrap a lot of them up. But so the technology does exist to do certain things, like you can you can direct sound, you can direct vibrations, you can direct light. Understand these things. Energy
is what we're dealing with. Energy in any form that you put it in, sound waves, invisible signals, it's still energy, and it travels and then it releases.
Well, I specifically mentioned sound because that will come in later.
Mm-hmm.
But so there are ways, and there is science behind it, and if you go look it up, like I said, when we talk about certain things, go look it up. Again, Project and Operation Popeye. If you're taking notes, these are the ones that you should look up.
Do a little critical thinking.
Yeah.
Look it up for yourself and sit and ponder. Could this be true?
Could it be? That's what scares me.
Just asking the question.
I believe it to be true.
Hey, man, I've been on this side of the fence for a long time. I've been hollering this shit for 25 years.
Everyone else is just starting to finally catch up.
Yeah. I won't even tell you the shit that I see coming. That's just as unbelievable as this.
Well, no, because seeing this and seeing what we've been going through, I'm just, man. Okay. I'm looking forward and going.
5 years ago when I started going on about Blue Beam and 9/11 and all that, how many times you roll your eyes?
Not so much on 9/11.
Okay.
Because that's the one that was like, hey, wait a minute.
How can that possibly be?
Well, because
Starting to see it?
That event, because it didn't sit right with me in my head.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't something was off.
Something's not right here.
Right when it happened, like, everyone's like, well, you know, terrorists, they'll happen anywhere. I was like, yeah, but
maybe not.
And so what ended up happening so I started questioning that, and then I started walking backwards. And started questioning
all the way back up at Bluebeam and Operation Popeye. Imagine that, 1960s.
No, I wound up much further than that, because that's what led me, and I hate to say this, that's what led me further on aliens, because, I had that friend of mine's dad, and talking to him growing up, and then starting to look backwards again, there were dots that started getting connected.
Yep.
I was making my own duck.
My duck's got horns.
All right, so we've got two brand new artists with us this week, or this month, starting now, today, and you will hear them in rotation on the show going forward. First, we have Thank Frank, which they have a song called Feed the Kids. They're a punk group that I found on Instagram.
Everybody likes punk.
Yeah, I like punk, and I thought they sounded good, and I wanted to play them. There will be links and stuff posted when the shows get uploaded, which, again, I would like to point out that the new schedule is Patreon gets it on Saturday, and then everybody else on Sunday. It shows up on all platforms Sunday and YouTube on Sunday. That's the fun size. Fun size version of our show is the hour. First hour of the podcast, and then the Patreon version is a full 3 hours. So if you would like to join our Patreon, you can go to patreon.com/the Odd Pod. We're really just trying to have fun and give you guys a fun time. So if you like what we do and you want to, by all means, hit up our Patreon. If not, if the fun size is what's great for you, that's cool too. Just please make sure to share with your friends if you really do enjoy us. And like, comment, and subscribe, because now we're on YouTube.
Oh, nice.
Also, in this is Michael A. Bruce, his song Running Through Red Lights. I liked it. It had this cool vibe to it. And I thought it sounded pretty good, and maybe everyone else will too.
What was the name?
Running Through Red Lights. Again, links will be posted, and you'll be able to get to that artist's page. He's actually a really nice guy. Like, when he started messaging the page about getting his music played, possibly, because I had gone through one day and just masked a bunch of groups. Right. Like, I'm looking for music. Come on. Come on. You want to get played? I'll play you. I swear I will. Just give me something that sounds good. I'll play it. Anyways, so he had seen one of those posts and messaged the page, and there were a couple of times where I've talked with him, right, and getting the music, and he is a really nice guy. He's a cool dude. Very chill. He has pushed hard that his song is being played tonight. Bravo, sir. I have not seen that kind of get to it from a band in a while, or an artist. So thank you.
Bands would, hey, we're at push. No,
yeah,
usually not. But
he's also he does photography and editing and whatnot. So
he is a true artist.
Yeah. Facebook.com/Rebel Imagery VIP, if I'm not mistaken, and his name is Michael A. Bruce. And then to finish out the block, we've got Carmel Liberty, cool. Her newest one, Like the Dead, which, again, absolutely love. Anyways, we'll be back after this. Hope you're enjoying. Oh, and we got a new patron. Yay!
Now it's time for the Odd Pods Patreon shout-out. Big thanks to Justin Burnside and Zaldor of Zaldor's World Podcast for becoming a patron. We hope you enjoy our long, uncut and girthy episodes until you're fully satisfied and left shaking from laughter. For everyone else, you can join our Patreon too. Just head to patreon.com/theoddpod. Become a patron and reap the benefits today.
You fucking what?
Are you tired of incense that stinks? Motor City Candleworks is Metro Detroit's #1 source for premium handmade incense, as well as hand sanitizer and now massage oil, with a wide array of scents inspired by Michigan cities and attractions. You're sure to find a fragrance that'll keep your love of the mitten burning all year round. Head to MotorCityCandleworks.com and order yours today. And make sure you find them on Facebook, too, for all of their upcoming sales and events. Motor City Candleworks. Michigan handmade scents that just make sense.
That smell. The kind of smelly smell.
Looking at a space that's empty. Try and fill the hole with some.
This just in. It seems the entire planet is being overtaken by a force unlike anything we've ever seen before. Its tentacles reach across the entire globe, from Beijing to Boston, from Moscow to Madrid. There seems to be no escaping its influence. It seems life as we know it will be forever changed now that the Odd Pod has arrived. To stay up to date on all developments, and we're urging that you stay informed, you can hear the latest information about the Odd Pod by searching for it on all major podcasting platforms. Remember, we can only be as safe as we are vigilant.
God damn it, we want you to be vigilant. Speaking of being vigilant, just so you know, you heard the commercial for Motor City Candle Works, and tomorrow from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. there's a craft show in downtown Romulus. You can find out more information by going to facebook.com/Motor City Candle Works, looking at their page, or you can contact us and we'll show you. But
for all your good stinky stuff needs.
Yeah. You can, on demand, make your incense and have them shipped to you if you're not near where Motor City Candle Works is going to be this weekend. So you can go to MotorCityCandleWorks.com and place your order. Mr. Brown is a fine businessman. I enjoy his product. I enjoy his practices. I enjoy Mr. Brown. How about that? I really like Motor City Candle Works and what they
product.
Do. He works with the veterans a lot as well, and he also gets to hang out at the Michigan Grand Prix when it comes through, because he volunteers there. He is an all-around good individual, but he's like slightly twisted like the rest of us.
Salute to Mr. Brown.
Yeah.
Watch out for the black helicopters.
Head to MotorCityCandleWorks.com and purchase all of your favorite or new favorite scents if you've never been there before. So before the break, I was talking about satellites that collect solar power and beam the ground, and everybody was like, "Nah!" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm telling you." So here's more information about that. And again, we urge you, go look this stuff up on your own.
Yep.
So the SPS, the Solar Power Satellite Project in 1968. I want you to pay attention to the dates here, by the way. In 1968, the U.S. military proposed the solar-powered satellites in geostationary orbit, 4,000 kilometers above the Earth, which would intercept solar radiation using solar cells on satellites and transmit it via microwave beam to a receiving antenna called rectennas on Earth. The U.S. Congress mandated that the Department of Energy and NASA to prepare an environmental impact assessment on this project to be completed by 1980 and costing $25 million. So right there, you have the United States looking at how much it's going to cost to put satellites in the air that can cook a TV dinner on the ground.
50 years ago.
And they were willing to spend $25 million on it.
50 years ago.
Yeah. This project was designed to construct 60 solar-powered satellites over a 30-year period at the cost of between $500 and $800,000 million in 1968 dollars, providing 10% of the U.S. energy needs in the year 2025 at a cost of $3,000 per kilowatt hour. Per kilowatt, sorry. At the time, the project cost was 2 to 3 times larger than the whole Department of Energy budget, and the projected cost of the electricity was well above the cost of most conventional energy sources. The rectenna sites on Earth were expected to take up to 145 square kilometers of land and would preclude habitation by any human, animals, or even vegetation. Each satellite was to be the size of Manhattan Island.
That's a big satellite. I think they shrink them.
Yeah.
They're a lot smaller.
They would have to.
Yeah.
So
it's the size of a shuttle bay cargo.
They were working on ways to try to do stuff like that
50 years ago.
50 years ago.
Over 50.
And over the course of time, we've heard stories, right?
Yep.
There's stories from Desert Storm where things things came right out of nowhere and took out their problems. There was the California fires not too long ago where people swore that
I see beams.
Yeah, something
come down from the sky.
Something cut a path. Yeah. So, I mean, there is speculation and some proof that 50 years ago we were trying to figure it out. Now, they've always said that what the military has and what the public has is a good 20 or so years apart. I think it's more.
Yeah, it's quite a bit more, but yeah, I'd say closer to 75, 80 years. A generational gap.
Military implications of the SPS in 1978. Early review of the solar-powered satellite project began in around 78, and it was proposed as an energy program. It had significant military implications. One of the most significant, first pointed out by Michael J. Ossoff, was the possibility of developing a satellite-borne beam weapon for anti-ballistic missile use. The satellites were to be in geosynchronous orbit, each providing an excellent vantage point from which an entire hemisphere could be surveyed continuously. It was speculated that a high-energy laser beam could function as a thermal weapon to disable or destroy enemy missiles. There was some discussion of electron weapon beams through the use of a laser beam to preheat a path for the following electron beam. The SPS was also described as a psychological and anti-personnel weapon which could be directed toward an enemy. In the main microwave beam was redirected away from the rectenna toward an enemy personnel. It could use an invisible infrared radiation wavelength as an interpersonnel weapon. It might also be possible to transmit high enough energy to ignite combustible materials. Laser beam power relays could be made from the SPS satellite to other satellites or platforms, for example, aircraft for military purposes. One application might be a laser-powered turbofan engine which would receive the laser beam directly in its combustion chamber, producing the required high-temperature gas for its cruising operation. This would also allow unlimited on-station cruise time. As a psychological weapon, the SPS was capable of causing general panic.
40 years ago.
The SPS would be able to transmit power to remote military operations anywhere needed on Earth. The manned platform of the SPS would provide surveillance and early warning capabilities and ELF linkage to submarines. It would also provide the capability of jamming enemy communications. The potential for jamming and creating communication is significant. The SPS was also capable of causing physical changes in the ionosphere. Now, the ionosphere is interesting because there was a time where our government was also playing with it, and they have been for a while.
Still are. There
was an incident that happened that made us realize, hey, maybe we could do something. We'll talk about that in a few. The ionosphere, President Carter approved the SPS project and gave it the go-ahead. And in spite of the reservation which many reviewers expressed, fortunately, it was so expensive, exceeding the entire Department of Energy budget, that the funding was denied by Congress. It told the United Nations Committee about Disarmament of this project, but was told that as long as the program was called solar energy by the United States, it could not be considered a weapons project.
Exactly.
The same project resurfaced in the U.S. under President Reagan, moved to the much larger budget of the Department of Defense and called Star Wars. By 78, it was apparent to the U.S. military that communications in nuclear hostile environment would not be possible using traditional methods of radio and television technology. This was confirmed by Jane's Military Communications from 78.
Mm-hmm.
By 82, GE Sylvania had developed a command control electronic subsystem for the U.S. Air Force's ground launch cruise missile that would enable military commanders to monitor and control missile prior to launch, both in hostile and non-hostile environments.
Smart bombs.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
The system contains 6 radio subsystems created with visible light using an invisible dark beam resistant to the disruptions experienced by radio and television. Dark beams contribute to the formation of energetic plasma in the atmosphere. This plasma can be visible as smog or fog. Some has a different charge than the sun's energy and accumulates in places where the sun's energy is absent, like the polar regions in the winter. So, were you keeping score there?
Oh, yeah.
Throughout that? So, 50 years ago, they had proposed the idea. 40 years ago,
they reviewing it.
They reviewed it. And Reagan would have been...
Star Wars.
Yeah,
Put it in
30 years ago at this point?
About 35 years
35, yeah. So, 35 years ago, we put it into practice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and what they're saying is they're gathering energy and transferring it from one place to another, wireless, from satellite to satellite or from satellite to a plane. And then they can redistribute that energy through whatever means they want. To shoot down missiles, to hit targets, to heat up the atmosphere, to do a lot of different things.
So, military is big business, right?
Oh, yeah.
And we have characters in our fiction that have been hand in hand with military as a business, selling weapons and technology.
War is profitable.
War is profitable.
That's why we've been doing it for 200 years.
I'd like to point out that we have 3 billionaires shooting for the sky.
Going to space.
Well, only 2 of them have gone. The third one hasn't, and he said he's not going to.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah. I think Elon wants to go to Mars.
That's where it's at.
Yeah, I don't think he gives a damn about space or the moon. Elon wants to go to Mars.
Moon is where we need to start.
Well... Shit, Richard Branson was just happy with space, and Jeff Bezos was happy with 5 minutes in the...
Yeah.
It's still longer than his employees get to use the bathroom, but... I wouldn't call it going to space. But no, so we have technology, and we have one thing that is very profitable for military, and... is business. And business, privately owned business that happens to have a contract with the United States government, there are things that can be done very quietly with no reason to make any noise.
Nobody questions the military.
What's Elon trying to launch into the sky?
Satellites.
Yeah.
How many of them? Enough to cover
40,000 or something like that. 400,000, somewhere in there.
Cover the entire globe.
Uh-huh.
Imagine that.
Low Earth orbit.
Mm-hmm. Right around that ionosphere. Actually, it's inside the ionosphere by quite a bit.
But these, these would be able to manipulate the ionosphere.
Yeah, use it as a projection screen. You could literally turn our outer atmosphere into a giant movie screen.
Yep. With a few of the right
tweaks.
And we're not just messing with space. So I don't know if you were here in the beginning. So the idea of Project Bluebeam is simply this. Is to create a false flag projection event of either the second coming of Jesus, if you believe the Zionist way.
A second coming or a first coming if you're other religions.
Yeah.
You know.
The Illuminatis and the Zionists believe religion. There are those that believe that it's aliens. And some Illuminatis do believe that it's aliens that they'll use. And I can't say that I blame them.
Look at how all of a sudden our government's done a 180 on the UFO thing. Oh, there's no such thing as crazy people and swamp gas. Oh, here's some video that we've had for 20 years. Look at this. Talk about a 180.
Well, the fact that the U.S. government would say there's no such thing as an unidentified flying object to begin with is stupid. Do you know why? Because anything that's in the sky that's flying that you can't fucking identify is an unidentified flying object. They exist. You can't say that they don't. Right. It's right there in the name. I don't know what it is. It's unidentified.
Is that a UFO? Yep, I haven't a clue what it is.
Yeah. Fuck, it was a Frisbee. It hit me.
Yeah, it could have been a group of balloons, but I didn't know what it was, so it's unidentified.
So just the fact that they were like, no.
Didn't happen. No spaceships here.
In fact, they're the ones that made themselves really suspicious by saying no spaceships here.
Quit asking. We didn't ask. Stop asking me. We didn't. Stop asking me these questions.
There is nothing in Area 51. Nothing, I tell you. Stop hanging out front.
Our government's like a bobblehead with ADD.
So we have the technology to create the event that they're talking about. And as we go through tonight, we're going to talk about each piece of the technology that exists for you to understand why that there is a shred of credibility in this one, because when you start putting the pieces together, you understand that it is possible to do exactly what is being said. But my feeling, and I'll say this later on if I remember, my feeling is that possible versus probable. I don't think we're at the point yet, probable.
They're setting us up.
But I believe that it is possible currently that that they could try it.
They've tried everything else.
But again, first is the technology and the lead up to the crazy, essentially.
Yeah. Well, like you said, it's connecting the dots. And if there's no numbers, you're not really sure what dot's next. So you're drawing dots and hoping you get a picture of something you recognize.
Who'd have said my issue with Elon being behind any of this is just that I don't think he's smart enough or reliable enough to pull anything off like that. Okay, so here's the thing. Just because I mentioned Elon, I also mentioned Branson and Bezos. I picked on Elon because he's got that fucking crazy-ass theory. But any one of them could do it. You understand that. Any one of them billionaires that's involved in technology could pull it off. Because here's the thing. The way that this relationship would work is that the DOD would approach the company. The company would have hands in different technologies already. There would be a sharing of information is basically what I'm getting at. Is like maybe technology is almost there from the private sector, but maybe they can't figure one thing out, and it's just that one thing that the U.S. government knows that nobody else does.
Yeah, that they're sitting on.
Yeah, key and lock type situation.
Right. You want to go for space? Okay, we'll let you go for space. Here's this little tad of information that you're going to need to know, and we don't want you to kill yourself finding out.
Because remember, up until not that long ago,
it was against the law.
Air travel and space travel was against the law for the everyday man.
Yeah, you couldn't do it. You couldn't even plan to do it.
Right.
It was against the law to plan to do a space shot.
Yeah. Because the minute you start buying the rocket fuel to start testing, they're like, hey, what are you doing?
Yep, exactly.
What you doing, bud?
Yeah. What do you think you're doing there?
Why you need all that fuel? Where are you going?
Thanks for checking out the Odd Pod. If you want to hear the whole show, consider becoming a patron of our Patreon. Head to patreon.com/The Odd Pod. We're also all over social media like an STI that won't wash off. Head to tapdetroit.com/The Odd Pod to follow us today. We're already following you, and you forgot to buy milk.